The foreclosure notice felt like a slap across my face. I read it 3 times, my hands trembling as I stood in my parents' kitchen, surrounded by the granite countertops I'd paid for during their renovation. My name is Angelina, and 3 years ago I wrote a check for $400,000 to pay off this house. Now I'm staring at paper proof that it was all a lie. Mom, I called out, my voice eerily calm despite the storm brewing inside me. Can you come here for a minute? She appeared in her floral apron, flour dusting her hands, always baking, always trying to sweeten things up. Mi amor, I'm making your favorite cookies. What's this? I thrust the notice toward her. The paper shook between us like a white flag of surrender. The color drained from her face. She wiped her hands on her apron repeatedly, a nervous tic I recognized from childhood. Oh, that must be a mistake. The bank. Don't. My voice cut through her excuse like a blade. This notice has my signature on it, except I never signed anything. The kitchen fell silent except for the gentle hum of the refrigerator, another appliance I'd bought them when the old one died last summer. Every corner of this house held memories of my financial sacrifices. Your brother needed help, she whispered, eyes downcast. The new business? It was such a good opportunity. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. So, you forged my signature for a reverse mortgage to fund another one of Lionel's schemes? Mija, you don't understand. He had investors waiting. Where's Dad? I interrupted, already moving toward his study. He was there, as always, pretending to be absorbed in his newspaper. Did you know about this? He lowered the paper slowly, his face a mask of practiced indifference. Know about what? The house is in foreclosure, I said, watching his reaction. Nothing, not even a flinch. You knew. Angelina? He sighed my name like I was still 12 and asking for an expensive toy. Family helps family. Your brother? Stop. I held up my hand. Just stop. I worked 60-hour weeks for 5 years to pay off this house. I skipped vacations. I lived in a studio apartment. I ate ramen while you and Mom posted photos of your cruise to Alaska. We invited you on that cruise, Mom interjected from the doorway. With whose money? I spun to face her. The money you saved because I paid off your mortgage? Dad stood up, his chair scraping against the hardwood floors. You're being dramatic. This is what family does. We support each other. Support? I could taste bile rising in my throat. Where was the support when I needed braces? When I worked 3 jobs to put myself through college? When Lionel dropped out of 2 universities you paid for? Your brother has vision, Dad defended. He needs consequences. The words exploded out of me. For once in his life, he needs to face reality instead of having you two clean up his messes. Mom started crying then, right on cue. The same tears that had manipulated me countless times before. How can you be so cruel? We raised you. We gave you everything. You gave everything to Lionel, I corrected her. I earned everything I have. And now you won't help us? Mom's voice rose, hitting that guilt-triggering pitch I knew so well. After everything we've done for you, the house will be gone in 30 days unless we can come up with the money. You have savings. You owe us this much. I stood there letting her words wash over me. All these years I'd craved their approval, their love, their recognition. I'd thrown money at the problem, hoping to buy what they gave Lionel freely. But standing in this house, my house, watching them defend fraud and theft, something inside me finally snapped. You're right, I said quietly, picking up my purse. I do owe you. Mom's face lit up with hope. So you'll help? I walked to the front door, my heels clicking against the tiles I'd selected 3 years ago. Each step felt like walking away from a lifetime of manipulation. No, Mom, you owe me, and I'm going to make sure you pay. I closed the door behind me, ignoring her calls. In my car, I pulled out my phone and dialed my best friend, Skylar. "Hey," I said when she answered. "Remember when you said you'd help me if I ever needed a lawyer? I need one now, and I need you to be ruthless." "They did what?" Skylar's office chair squeaked as she leaned forward, her perfectly manicured nails drumming against her desk. "Forged your signature? That's not just family drama, Angelina. That's criminal fraud." I slid the foreclosure notice across her desk. 3 hours after walking out of my parents' house, I sat in the sleek downtown law office where Schuyler worked as a corporate attorney. The city skyline stretched behind her, a reminder of how far I'd climbed from my family's expectations. "Look at the signature," I said. "They didn't even try to make it look authentic." Schuyler examined the document, her frown deepening. "And this was all for your brother's latest venture? What was it this time?" "A crypto bar." I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice, whatever that means. "Probably another money pit like his NFT gallery or that virtual reality arcade." "Both of which you warned them about," Schuyler reminded me, reaching for her laptop. "Give me a minute to look something up." My phone buzzed. Mom again, the 7th call in 2 hours. I declined it and watched another voicemail notification pop up. "Here's something interesting," Schuyler said, turning her screen toward me. "The house is going to auction in 3 weeks. Fast-track foreclosure because of multiple missed payments." She paused, studying me. "But that's not why you're really here, is it?" I met her gaze. "I want to buy it." "The house?" "Through a shell company," I clarified, "anonymously. I want them to lose it, and I want to be the one who takes it." Schuyler leaned back, her expression thoughtful. "That's cold." A smile crept across her face. "I love it. We can set up an LLC today. I know a guy who handles auction properties. He can be our front man." My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Leonelle. "Hey sis, can we meet? Need to talk about Mom and Dad." "Do it," I told Schuyler, showing her the text. "Because my dear brother is about to try his latest con, and I want everything in place before he does." 2 hours later, I sat across from Leonelle at his favorite coffee shop. He looked exactly like someone who'd just burned through a house's worth of equity. Designer clothes that had seen better days, expensive watch but scuffed shoes, that desperate gleam in his eyes. "You haven't been answering Mom's calls?" he started, stirring his third packet of sugar into his coffee. "Been busy," I replied. "Running a legitimate business takes time." He flinched at the emphasis but recovered quickly. "Look, I know you're probably upset about the house situation." "Probably? But I can explain everything." He leaned forward, voice dropping into that conspiratorial tone that had convinced so many investors to part with their money. "The crypto bar concept is revolutionary. We're talking blockchain-based drinks, NFT membership tokens, metaverse integration for... Where's the money, Leonelle?" He blinked. "What?" "The mortgage money. Where is it?" "It's tied up in development costs. But we're about to launch." "The truth," I cut him off. "For once in your life, tell me the truth." His facade cracked just for a moment. Fear flickered across his face before the smooth mask returned. "Things got complicated with some investors, but I'm handling it." My phone buzzed. A text from Schuyler. "LLC paperwork filed. Auction is in 20 days. You're officially a shadow property mogul." "You know what's funny?" I said to Leonelle, sliding my phone away. "I always wanted to be wrong about you. Every time you came up with a new scheme, I hoped this would be the one that proved me wrong." "Angie, don't call me that." I stood up, dropping a $5 bill on the table. "You didn't just steal from Mom and Dad. You stole from me. Remember that when everything falls apart." I was halfway to the door when he called out, "They asked me to. They said you owed the family this much. I kept walking, but my hands were shaking as I got into my car. My phone showed 3 more missed calls from Mom and a text from Dad. Your mother is crying. Fix this. I started the engine and typed a quick response to Skylar. Make sure the eviction notice goes out the day after the auction. No grace period. Her reply came instantly. Ice cold, but they earned it. By the way, got a call from someone named Freya. Says she has info about where the money really went. Meeting her tomorrow. I smiled, thinking of the house I'd paid for, the house they'd stolen, the house I was about to take back. Send me the details. I want to know everything. The auction room smelled like stale coffee in desperation. I watched through the video feed on my laptop as Skylar's associate, Jacoby, raised his paddle from my childhood home. My hands were steady as I sipped my tea in my office across town, maintaining my alibi while my revenge unfolded. Going once at 420,000, the auctioneer droned. Going twice. No other paddles went up. Of course not. I'd made sure the reserve price was high enough to deter regular buyers, but low enough to seem reasonable. The gavel fell with a crack that echoed through my speakers. Sold to Knight Properties, LLC. My phone lit up immediately with Skylar's message. Done. You're officially your parents' landlord. I was about to respond when another call came through. Leonel. I answered, putting it on speaker while I typed instructions to Skylar. Hey, sis. His voice was unusually tight. You haven't been returning Mom's calls. I've been busy, I replied, hitting send on the eviction notice template Skylar had prepared. Unlike some people, I actually work for a living. Look, about that. He cleared his throat. I might have a solution for this whole mess. An investor wants to buy into the crypto bar concept. High net worth individual. Very interested. I muted my microphone and laughed. Let me guess. You just need a small bridge loan to close the deal? 20,000, he said quickly. That's all. It's guaranteed money, Angie. I swear on Mom's life. Don't. My voice turned to ice. Don't you dare swear on her life when you're lying. I'm not. Save it, I cut him off. I'm meeting Freya for coffee in an hour. The silence on his end was deafening. Finally, he whispered, What did she tell you? Nothing yet, but she will. I hung up and grabbed my keys. The coffee shop where I was meeting Freya was downtown, near the business district. She was already there when I arrived, her designer handbag a sharp contrast to her nervous demeanor. Thanks for meeting me, she said as I sat down. I've been trying to work up the courage to contact you for weeks. Why now? She pulled out her phone, tapping through screens. Because your brother's gotten himself into something dangerous. The crypto bar, it's not real. None of it is real. I figured that much. No, she shook her head. You don't understand. He took money from some very serious people, used your parents' house as collateral for private loans, multiple loans from multiple people who don't exactly report to the BBB. She turned her phone toward me. Screenshots of text messages, bank transfers, and what looked like threats filled the screen. How do you know all this? I asked. Because I was supposed to be his partner, she admitted. But when I saw what he was really doing, I backed out. The problem is, she glanced around nervously. Some of these people think I'm still involved. My phone buzzed. A text from Skylar. Eviction notice delivered. Your parents just called the bank in panic mode. Why are you telling me this? I asked Freya. Because someone needs to stop him before he gets your parents killed. She stood up, grabbing her bag. Check your email. I sent you everything I have. Bank statements, loan documents, all of it. Just be careful who you show it to. After she left, I opened my email. The attachment showed exactly what she described, a web of loans, each one backed by the equity in my parents' house, My house, the house that was now legally mine again. My phone rang. Mom. Angelina, she was crying. Someone bought the house. We got an eviction notice. You have to help us. I can't, I said, scanning through Freya's documents. I warned you about Lionel. He's your brother. And I'm your daughter, I shot back. The one you stole from, the one whose signature you forged. We're going to be homeless, she sobbed. Is that what you want? Your own parents on the street? I thought about the guest house behind my home, the one I'd never told them about, the perfect place to watch karma unfold. You can stay with me, I said, my voice carefully measured, temporarily, while you figure things out. Really? Hope crept into her voice. Oh, mi amor, I knew you'd help. Don't thank me yet, I interrupted. We'll discuss terms when you get here. And, Mom, don't bring Lionel. He's not welcome in my home. I hung up and texted Skylar. They took the bait, moving to phase 2. Her response was immediate. You're either brilliant or terrifying, maybe both. Want me to draft the rental agreement? Yes, I replied. Make it ironclad. They're about to learn what it means to live under someone else's rules. My parents looked small standing in my foyer, their suitcases packed with whatever dignity they had left. Mom clutched her favorite Virgin Mary statue to her chest while Dad pretended to study my modern art collection, avoiding eye contact. The guest house is through here, I said, leading them through my kitchen to the back door. It's fully furnished. This is very nice of you, Mija, Mom ventured, her voice hopeful. Maybe we could all have dinner together tonight. I could cook. I have meetings. I unlocked the guest house door. Besides, we need to review the rental agreement first. Dad's head snapped up. Rental agreement? We're your parents. Exactly why we need one. I pulled the document from my bag. Skylar drew it up. Month-to-month lease, utilities included, market rate. You're charging us rent? Mom's voice cracked. After everything you've done? I finished for her. Yes, exactly because of that. Before they could argue, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Is this Angelina? A gruff male voice. I'm looking for Lionel. Your parents' address is empty. My spine stiffened. Who is this? Someone your brother owes money to. A lot of money. A pause. Tell him Marcus called. He'll know who I am. The line went dead. I looked at my parents, who were pretending not to have heard the conversation. Who's Marcus? Mom busied herself arranging her statue on a shelf. Dad suddenly found his shoes fascinating. Fine. I dropped the rental agreement on the counter. Sign it by tonight or find somewhere else to stay. And when Marcus shows up here looking for Lionel, I'm calling the police. I was halfway to my house when Mom called out. He just needed a chance. Why couldn't you give him that chance? I turned slowly. A chance? Like the chances you gave him when you paid for 3 colleges he dropped out of? Or the chance with my house? How many chances should he get, Mom? You don't understand. No, you don't understand. My voice echoed across the backyard. Every time you clean up his messes, you make them bigger, and now you've dragged dangerous people into it. Dad stepped forward. We'll handle Marcus. You don't need to worry about. Handle him how? I pulled out my phone, showing them Freya's documents. With what money? Because according to these, Lionel took out loans from at least 3 different private lenders, all using my forged signature and your house as collateral. They stared at the screen, faces paling. That's not possible, Mom whispered. I have the proof. Bank transfers, loan documents, everything. I tucked my phone away. Sign the lease. Stay here where it's safe. But understand this. I'm done fixing his problems. Later that evening, my doorbell rang. Through the security camera, I saw Lionel looking more disheveled than ever. Go away, I said through the intercom. Please, Angie, Marcus is looking for me. I just need money, I laughed. No, not money. A place to hide, just for a few days. Like Mom and Dad are hiding in my guest house? I watched him flinch. How many people are looking for you, Lionel? He ran his hands through his hair. I can explain everything. Save it for Marcus. I turned off the intercom and watched him pound on my door for another minute before giving up. My phone buzzed with a text from Freya. Marcus showed up at my apartment. I told him everything. Police are involved now? Good. Let the dominoes fall. Another text came through, this time from Skylar. Your parents signed the lease. Want me to start the next phase? I walked to my kitchen window, looking out at the guest house. Mom was at the window, probably hoping I'd change my mind about dinner. Dad sat in the garden chair, staring into space. They looked old, defeated. Part of me ached to comfort them, to be the good daughter they never appreciated. But then I remembered the foreclosure notice, the forged signature, years of watching them enable Lionel while I worked myself to exhaustion, trying to earn their love. Yes, I texted back to Skylar. Start the next phase. It's time they learned exactly who they're dealing with. I drew the curtains blocking out their view. Let them sit with their choices tonight. Tomorrow they'd learn that their new landlord, the one who bought their house at auction, was scheduling an inspection, and I would watch as they realized just how completely I controlled their fate. My phone lit up one last time. Another unknown number. Tell Lionel he has 24 hours. Clock's ticking. I forwarded the message to my brother with one addition. Time's up. The police car's lights painted my driveway in alternating red and blue. 2 officers stood in my living room while Mom sobbed on my couch. Dad paced by the window, and I maintained my carefully crafted mask of concern. And you haven't heard from your brother in how long? Officer Rivera asked, flipping through her notepad. 3 days, I replied. Not since he showed up here asking to hide from someone named Marcus. Marcus Torres, her partner added. Known loan shark. We've been building a case against him for months. He turned to my parents. Your son borrowed quite a bit of money from some dangerous people. Mom's sobs grew louder. But he's a good boy. He needed consequences, I cut in, and now he has them. The officers exchanged glances before Rivera handed me her card. Call us if he contacts you and Mr. and Mrs. Fernandez. For your own safety, don't try to handle this yourselves. After they left, Dad rounded on me. Happy now? Your own brother could be dead, and you're talking about consequences. My own brother? I stood up, anger finally cracking through my composure. Where was this family loyalty when he stole my house, when he forged my signature, when he... A sharp knock at the door interrupted me. Through the peephole, I saw Skylar in her most professional outfit. Perfect timing, I muttered, opening the door. Good evening, she announced, all business. I'm here representing Knight Properties, LLC for the scheduled inspection. Mom stopped crying immediately. Inspection? Now? Yes, now. Skylar consulted her tablet. As per Section 8 of your lease agreement, the property owner has the right to inspect the premises with 24-hour notice, which was provided yesterday. But it's 9 at night, Dad protested. The notice didn't specify a time, I said smoothly. And as your daughter's guest house is on private property, normal business hours don't apply. Skylar led us all to the guest house, where she photographed every room, made notes about non-existent violations, and generally made my parents increasingly uncomfortable. The property owner has concerns about unauthorized occupants, she said, photographing Dad's reading glasses on the coffee table, particularly given the recent police presence. Unauthorized? Mom's eyes widened. You mean Lionel? But he's never even been here. Nevertheless, Schuyler continued. Any unauthorized occupants would constitute a breach of lease and result in immediate eviction. Dad's face reddened. This is ridiculous. Angelina, tell her. Tell her what? I interrupted. That you deserve special treatment? Like the special treatment you gave my signature on that mortgage? Before he could respond, both our phones buzzed with breaking news alerts. I opened mine first, reading aloud. Local entrepreneur arrested in cryptocurrency investment scheme. Multiple charges of fraud. The attached mugshot showed Lionel, looking considerably worse than when I'd last seen him. Mom collapsed into a chair, wailing. Dad grabbed his phone, hands shaking as he read the article. Investors lost millions, he whispered. He was running a Ponzi scheme? Among other things, Schuyler commented, still taking photos. The property owner will be very interested in this development. My phone rang. Freya. Turn on channel 7, she said without preamble. They're interviewing Marcus. I grabbed the remote, switching on the guest house TV. There he was, the man who'd been threatening my brother, now wearing a suit and speaking calmly to reporters. Mr. Torres, you're saying you were also a victim of this fraud? Absolutely, he replied smoothly. Like many others, I was deceived by Mr. Fernandez's elaborate schemes. I'm cooperating fully with authorities to ensure justice is served. Mom lunged for the remote, but I held it away. You need to watch this, I said coldly. All of it. The reporter continued. Sources say the scheme involved forged documents, including signatures from family members. Any comment? Marcus smiled grimly. I think those family members deserve justice too. I turned off the TV. The silence in the guest house was deafening. The property owner will require an additional security deposit, Schuyler announced into the quiet, given the circumstances. We don't have any more money, Dad admitted, his pride finally cracking. Then perhaps alternative arrangements should be considered. Schuyler gathered her things. You have 48 hours to either provide the additional deposit or vacate the premises. After she left, Mom turned to me, tears streaming down her face. Please, Angelina, help us talk to the owner. You're good with business, with people. Maybe you could. No. I headed for the door. I'm done fixing your problems. You have 48 hours to figure out your next move. Choose wisely. I left them there, surrounded by the wreckage of their choices, and walked back to my house. Tomorrow they'd learn exactly who owned their fate. But tonight I let them sit with the knowledge that their golden child had finally run out of chances. I found Mom in my kitchen at 3 a.m., methodically scrubbing my already clean counters. The sound had woken me, but I stood watching her for a moment, remembering all the times I'd seen her stress clean throughout my childhood. Couldn't sleep? I asked, making her jump. Mija, she whispered, clutching the sponge. My kitchen was spotless. I moved to the coffee maker. Want some? She nodded, sinking into a bar stool. We waited in silence as the coffee brewed, the machines gurgling the only sound between us. I used to do this when you were little, she said suddenly. Clean at night, worry about money. I remember. I poured 2 cups. I also remember getting my first job at 15 to help with bills while Linnell got a new gaming system for Christmas. She flinched. We wanted him to focus on school, while I focused on surviving. I pushed her coffee across the counter. Do you know what Aunt Eva told me when I was 17? Mom stiffened at my aunt's name. They'd had a falling out years ago over, surprise, Lionel. She said, Angelina, some parents treat their daughters like emergency funds and their sons like investment accounts. I took a sip of coffee. I didn't understand what she meant back then, but I do now. That's not fair, Mom protested weakly. We loved you both. Differently, I finished. You loved us differently. You loved him more. No, she stood up, coffee forgotten. Everything we did was for both of you. When we came to this country, we had nothing. We wanted you both to have everything. But only one of us had to earn it. She collapsed back onto the stool, aging decades and seconds. We were proud of you, so proud. You were strong, independent. Lionel, he needed us more. He needed consequences, I corrected, and now he's in jail because you never gave him any. My phone buzzed. A text from Schuyler. Paperwork ready for tomorrow's reveal. Sure you want to do this? What are you looking at? Mom asked, trying to peek at my screen. I pulled up the news instead, showing her Lionel's mugshot. Your investment account is trending, not in a good way. She started crying again, but this time I didn't feel the usual urge to comfort her. The police said, they said he might serve real time, years. My baby. Your baby stole millions, I said flatly. He forged documents. He threatened people. He made mistakes, she shouted. Like we all do. Even you, mi amor. Even you make mistakes. I stood up slowly. My mistakes? You mean like working myself half to death to give you and Dad a house? Like trying to protect you from Lionel's schemes? Like whatever game you're playing now? Her eyes narrowed. You think I don't see it? The mysterious property owner, the lawyer friend, the timing. You're punishing us. For the first time, I saw real anger in her eyes, not manipulation, not guilt-tripping, but genuine rage. You're right, I said quietly. I am. She recoiled as if I'd slapped her. What? Tomorrow morning you and Dad will meet the owner of your house, the one you lost, the one I paid for, the one you stole. Understanding dawned on her face. No, yes. I rinsed my coffee cup, setting it in the drain rack. You wanted me to fix this? I did. I fixed it permanently. You bought the house? Her voice was barely a whisper. Through that company? Knight Properties, LLC, I confirmed, named after the chess piece, the one that can move in ways you don't expect. She stood up so quickly her stool clattered to the floor. How could you? We're your parents. Exactly. I headed for the stairs. You're my parents, and you taught me everything I know about family loyalty. What does that mean? I paused on the first step. It means get some sleep, Mom. Tomorrow's meeting is at 9 sharp, and your new landlord doesn't tolerate tardiness. Angelina, please. Oh, and Mom? I turned back one last time. Clean your own kitchen. This one's mine. I left her there, surrounded by the gleaming counter sheets stress cleaned, and went back to bed. Through my window, I could see the guest house lights flip on one by one as she returned, probably to wake Dad and tell him what she'd learned. Let them stay awake all night, I thought. Let them feel what I felt for years, the weight of betrayal, the cold certainty of consequences approaching. Tomorrow would change everything, but tonight belonged to karma. The foreclosed house looked smaller now, its windows dark and accusing as I pulled into the driveway. My parents' car was already there. They'd probably been waiting since dawn, desperate to meet their mysterious new landlord. Schuyler met me at the door, briefcase in hand. Ready? Born ready. I smoothed my blazer and checked my lipstick in my compact mirror. How do I look? Like someone about to destroy their parents' last illusions. She smiled grimly. Perfect. We found them in the living room, perched nervously on the edge of the couch I'd bought them 3 Christmases ago. Mom's eyes were red-rimmed. Clearly she hadn't slept after our kitchen confrontation. Dad sat ramrod straight, his pride still intact despite everything. Good morning, Schuyler announced formally. As discussed, this meeting is to introduce you to the owner of Knight Properties, LLC, and discuss your ongoing tenancy situation. Where is this owner? Dad demanded. We deserve to meet them face to face. Oh, you will, I said, moving to stand by the fireplace. In fact, you already have. Mom's breath caught. Even though she'd figured it out last night, seeing me take this position of power made her physically recoil. What's going on? Dad looked between us, confusion turning to dawning horror. Angelina? Knight Properties, LLC, I said clearly, is my company. I bought this house at auction. I own it now. Again? The silence was absolute. Even the birds outside seemed to stop singing. That's not possible, Dad whispered. Actually, it's quite straightforward, Schuyler interjected, pulling out documents. Your daughter formed the company specifically to purchase this property after your default on the fraudulent reverse mortgage. Fraudulent because you forged my signature, I added, which brings us to the next order of business. Mom started to speak, but I held up my hand. No, you've done enough talking. For years you talked over me, around me, through me. Now you're going to listen. I pulled out my phone and played a recording. Leonel's voice filled the room. They asked me to. They said you owed the family this much. Dad's face went ashen. Mom burst into fresh tears. I have everything, I continued, my voice steady. The forged documents, the bank transfers, texts between you and Leonel, planning how to get more money from me. Everything. We're your parents, Dad tried, but his voice cracked. Yes, you are, which is why I haven't gone to the police about the forgery. I met his eyes. Yet. Schuyler opened her briefcase again. We have two options here. Option one, you sign these papers agreeing to never contact Angelina again. You move out of her guest house, find your own place, and live with the consequences of your choices. And option two? Dad asked. I press charges, I said simply. For fraud, forgery, conspiracy, all of it. You can join Leonel in jail. You wouldn't, Mom gasped. Your own parents. Try me. I placed both documents on the coffee table. Choose. Dad reached for the papers with trembling hands. We don't have anywhere to go. That sounds like a you problem, I replied, using the same words he'd said to me when I needed help with college tuition. You have 1 hour to decide. I turned to leave, but Mom's voice stopped me. You really are just like us. I looked back. What? Cold, calculating, willing to hurt family for money. She laughed bitterly. We created this. We made you this way. For a moment I felt 15 again, desperate for their approval, their love, their acceptance. Then I remembered why we were here. No, Mom, you didn't make me this way. You made me strong, independent, capable of protecting myself, even from you. I straightened my shoulders. I learned to be cold because you were never warm unless I was useful. Mija. 1 hour, I cut her off. Sign the papers or I call the police. And Mom, don't ever call me Mija again. Outside the morning sun was bright and unforgiving. Schuyler followed me to my car. That was intense, she said. You okay? I checked my phone, a text from the prison where Leonel was being held. Your brother requests a visit. I'm perfect, I replied, declining the visit request. For the first time in my life, I'm absolutely perfect. Back in the house, through the window, I could see my parents huddled over the papers. Dad was crying now, too. Good. Let them feel something real for once. One last thing, I told Schuyler. After they sign, have the utilities shut off. They should experience what it feels like to lose everything, just like they did to me. She nodded and I drove away, leaving my parents with their choice, pride or freedom. Either way, I'd won. The demolition crew arrived on a Tuesday morning. I sat in my car across the street, watching as they taped off the property, my property, and began setting up their equipment. The house where I'd grown up, the one I'd paid for twice, would be gone by sunset. My phone buzzed. Aunt Eva. I saw the news about Lionel, she said when I answered. 7 years. That's a long time to think about his choices. Not long enough, I replied, watching a worker measure the front wall. Did you know Mom and Dad moved to Florida? To live with your cousin Rosa, I heard. Ava's voice softened. They signed your papers? Didn't have much choice. I stepped out of my car as the demolition foreman approached. They chose Lionel over me one too many times. And now you're destroying the house? Not destroying, I corrected, transforming. I'm building an art therapy center for kids from broken homes. Seems fitting. Ava was quiet for a moment. You're not them, you know. What you did, it was justice, not cruelty. The foreman waved, signaling they were ready to begin. I have to go, Aunt Ava. They're about to start. Wait, she said quickly. There's something you should know. Your mom called me yesterday. My heart stuttered. What did she want? To apologize. To me for all those years ago when I warned her about Lionel. Ava paused, and she asked for your new address. Said she had something to return to you. I don't want anything from her. It's the check, Eva said. The one you wrote to pay off their mortgage. She never cashed it. The first crash of demolition punctuated my silence. A wall came down, revealing the kitchen where Mom had stress cleaned just weeks ago. Why? I finally asked. She said she couldn't take your money again. Not after everything. Ava's voice was gentle. Maybe some people can change, even if it's too late. I watched as another wall fell, exposing my old bedroom. The paint was still the same shade of blue I'd chosen at 16. It's not about the money anymore, I said. It never was. I know, sweetheart, I know. After hanging up, I walked closer to the house. Through the settling dust, I could see the spot where Dad had marked our heights on the wall, the window where Mom used to wave goodbye every morning, the stairs where Lionel and I had once played pirates. My phone buzzed again, a text from Skylar. Got the final permits for the therapy center. Construction can start next week. I typed back, good. Make sure the entrance has big windows. Kids need light to heal. The demolition continued methodically, erasing my childhood piece by piece. A worker emerged from the debris holding something. Mom's Virgin Mary statue, somehow unbroken. Want to keep this? He asked. I took it, feeling its familiar weight. Mom had left it behind in the guest house, along with the unsigned check I'd written years ago. Her final message, perhaps. She understood the cost of redemption. The statue's eyes seemed to watch me, judging or forgiving. I couldn't tell which. On impulse, I took a photo and sent it to Aunt Ava with a message. Tell Mom I'm keeping it. Some things shouldn't be demolished. Ava replied instantly, Want me to give her your address? I watched the last wall fall, taking with it all the memories, good and bad, that had shaped me. No, I wrote back, but tell her about the therapy center. Tell her some good will come from all this. My phone lit up with a call from the prison. Lionel again. This time I answered. What? I heard about the house, he said quietly, about what you're building. Yeah, well, someone should help kids who had childhoods like mine. He was silent for a long moment. I'm sorry, Angie. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. I looked at the Virgin Mary statue in my hands, then at the cleared lot where my house had stood. Tomorrow, trucks would come to haul away the debris, making room for something new, something better. You're right, I said. It doesn't fix anything, but it's a start. I hung up and placed the statue in my car. The demolition crew was packing up, their work complete. Where my childhood home had stood, there was now only empty space, room for new foundations, new walls, new beginnings. I hadn't burned the house down. I cleared the way for something stronger to grow in its place. Maybe that was the best revenge of all. Not destruction, but reconstruction. Not pain, but purpose. The sun was setting as I drove away, casting long shadows across the empty lot. In my rearview mirror, the Virgin Mary watched over it all, her expression neither judging nor forgiving, but simply witnessing the end of one story and the beginning of another.